Stand at the edge of the great Venetian lagoon in the year 1500, and before your very eyes rises a city that seems to float upon open water. This is Venice at the very height of her power, a proud republic of merchants who built a vast empire, not with armies, but with ships and gold. There are no roads leading into this floating city, only water, and every visitor must arrive here exactly the same way every ruler once did. Gondolas glide silently between the tall old buildings that seem to grow directly out of the canal, their foundations sunk deep into ancient mud. The air smells of salt, tar, and distant spice, a strange mixture found nowhere else on Earth, carried here from ports thousands of miles away. Bells ring endlessly across the water from 100 churches, calling merchants, sailors, and nobles alike into the daily rhythm of the city. At the very heart of the city lies the Rialto, the beating commercial pulse of an empire that stretches from here to the distant Black Sea. Merchants shout out prices in a dozen different languages, trading silk from China, spices from India, and precious furs from the frozen north. Bankers sit quietly at wooden tables along the bridge, slowly inventing the very financial tools that the modern world still relies upon today. A single spice merchant here can grow wealthier than a foreign prince, simply by carefully controlling the steady flow of pepper and cinnamon. This is not a city that produces goods. It is a city that moves them across the entire world, and in that movement, she has found unmatched power. Beyond the grand palaces lies a place few outsiders are ever allowed to see, a guarded fortress of industry the Venetians call the Arsenale. Inside its guarded walls, thousands of skilled workers build entire warships with terrifying speed. One galley completed in under a single day. This is the largest industrial complex found anywhere in the world, centuries before the very word factory would ever be invented elsewhere. The ships built here do not simply defend Venice. They quietly project her power across the whole Mediterranean and deep into the distant east. Foreign spies would give almost anything to walk these halls, yet the secrets of the Arsenale are guarded like the Republic's own crown jewels. Rising above the busy Grand Canal stands the Doge's Palace, where Venice is ruled not by a single king, but by careful, patient calculation. Inside its chambers, ambassadors from Constantinople, Cairo, and Lisbon quietly wait for audiences, each hoping to win favor with the Republic. Venice plays every rival empire skillfully against another, quietly trading with Christian and Muslim powers alike whenever profit allows it. Loyalty here belongs not to faith or blood, but simply to the ledger, and that ledger has made Venice richer than most kingdoms of her age. Behind closed doors, a small council of nobles quietly decides the fate of trade routes stretching thousands of miles across the open sea. Away from the marble palaces, ordinary Venetians live pressed close together, their homes stacked high above narrow, shadowed little streets. Fishermen mend their nets at dawn, while glassblowers on nearby Murano shape molten glass into treasures destined for distant royal courts. Women manage households and small shops alike, their quiet influence slowly shaping a city that depends entirely upon constant daily commerce. Beggars and princes cross the very same bridges here, separated only by the fine silk or coarse wool that covers their tired, weary shoulders. Disease and fire remain constant threats in a crowded city built from wood and water, yet somehow Venice always finds a way to rebuild herself. Out in the open lagoon, merchant fleets quietly prepare to sail toward Alexandria, Constantinople, and the distant glittering shores of the east. Every voyage risks storms, pirates, and open war, yet the promise of spice and silk keeps Venetian sailors always returning again to the sea. Colonies stretch across the eastern Mediterranean, small outposts of Venetian law, quietly flying the winged lion of St. Mark far from home. This vast maritime network makes Venice far less a single city and much more the true capital of a scattered empire built entirely upon trade. No other power on earth commands the sea quite the way Venice does, and every rival quietly watches her mighty fleets with simmering envy. Wealth from endless trade pours into art, and painters like Bellini and Titian fill her churches and palaces with breathtaking, vivid color. Printing presses across Venice produce more books than almost anywhere else, spreading knowledge quickly across a hungry, curious continent. Music drifts softly from private courtyards, while festivals fill the canals with lanterns, painted masks, and endless joyful celebration. Even in great luxury, Venice never once forgets the sea that made her, and painted ships still decorate the walls of her very grandest palaces. Yet beneath all this beauty, quiet danger stirs, for Portuguese ships have now found a brand new sea route to the spices of distant India. If merchants can reach the east without ever passing through Venice, the very foundation of her wealth could slowly begin to quietly crumble. The Ottoman Empire presses hard against her eastern colonies, forcing Venice into costly wars that slowly drain both her treasury and her blood. Still, for now, in this single golden moment, Venice remains unmatched, the wealthiest and most envied city found anywhere in the entire world. Ambassadors still bow low, merchants still gather at dawn, and the Lion of St. Mark still watches proudly over an empire built on open water. As evening slowly falls, torchlight flickers across the quiet canals, and the soft sound of oars replaces the noise of the crowded market. Nobles glide silently toward their palaces in private gondolas, their fine silk robes catching the last golden light of a Venetian sunset. Somewhere out in the darkness, a quiet ship slips into port, carrying spices worth more than an entire district of ordinary Venetian homes. The city never truly sleeps, for an empire built on trade must always be listening carefully for the very next arriving sail on the horizon. Centuries from now, historians will quietly call this Venice's golden age, though no one walking these streets tonight could ever know it yet. Empires rise slowly and fall suddenly, and Venice, for all her wealth, will one day watch her power slowly slip quietly toward the open sea. But in the year 1500, none of that has happened yet, and the whole city still glows with the total confidence of the seemingly unstoppable. For now, Venice is not merely a city, she is living proof that human ambition can rise, quite literally, straight out of open water itself. And so, despite the storms, rival empires, and the slow, relentless turning of history, Venice endures, floating defiantly upon the open sea. Her quiet canals still whisper the story of merchants and diplomats who once turned simple mud and water into the beating center of the world. If this journey through Renaissance Venice fascinated you, please subscribe now for more cinematic journeys through the world's lost history. Tell us in the comments down below which forgotten city or lost empire you want us to bring back to life next here on this very channel today.